But for now, we're talking tomatoes because it's that time of year. In my garden, the first one changed. My first tomato's red now.
Congratulations.
But they're lush, they're flavorful, and they're abundant.
So today we're going to show you an easy way to cook up this summer fruit with Ann Macey. She's the author of Ann's Table for Two from annstable42.com. And we're going to be roasting tomatoes. And how many different ways will you be showing us how to serve them?
Well, first of all, I'm impressed that you know it's a fruit and not a vegetable.
Well, that's the thing. It's one or the other, and we never know which one it is.
It actually is considered to be a fruit.
It's a fruit.
Yes,
okay.
it is. Okay.
Because it has seeds, right? Isn't that right?
I don't know why. I just know that it is a fruit.
And that's the important part.
Okay, so let me tell you how this recipe started. I do have a recipe for roasted vegetables in my old cookbook and in my new cookbook, but I didn't have one for tomatoes, and I separated this one because I add things to it where the other ones, well, if we have my cookbook, you'll be able to tell. But what happens is that I usually buy like a pint of grape tomatoes, and of course tomatoes are plentiful, so you can use any type of tomatoes. You know, you can use your big boys and the ones on the vine, and plum tomatoes are good too for this. But I always have, Geisler's, when they have grape tomatoes on sale, I buy a pint and I use a couple of them, and then I find them in the back of my refrigerator and they're all starting to wilt.
They get a little squishy.
Yes, so just before they start to, like, you know, when I can still use them.
They're a little wrinkled,
yeah. A little wrinkled, but they're still good. So I cut them in half, and I add, well, maybe about, this, of course, I have fresh basil now because it's summer. I have it out in my back on my patio.
That smells nice.
Just actually like about maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons, and about maybe a teaspoon of garlic, although this is maybe just a little bit more. I had some fresh garlic.
I'm not complaining about extra garlic.
And I know it. Garlic and onions and basil. How can you go wrong?
I was going to say, all the other guests on the show today are going to be furious at you, Ann, because our breath's going to be terrible.
And then about 2 tablespoons of chopped onions. You can see that these are frozen. I always chop a whole onion and put it, so I can cry once, and then I put it in the freezer. So you just take that and you just add just a little bit of cooking oil, and maybe about 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
And of course I use my trusty little cooking spray and spray a pan that's been lined, so you don't have to do any kind of cleanup. I hate cleanup. And just mix it. And technically you don't really have to use the bowl. There's a lot of times that I just mix it right here.
Okay, so you mix it all together.
You just mix it all together.
And then we just pop this in the oven?
You pop this in the oven.
Hey, every way I've always learned it, you're supposed to just, you roast your tomatoes first and then you go from there. But this, you do everything at once. It's
Well,
great.
you know, I don't really like to do anything normal. Ask my mother.
That's Ann's way.
You do it for
this looks good.
425 degrees for about 10 minutes, and then toss them in maybe for another 10 minutes. Now, if you're going to serve them cold, you might want to, and these have been, I cooked these a little bit early, so they're, you know, pretty much wilted. But I did cook them for the full 20 minutes. If you cook them for less time, they'll still be roasted, but they'll hold their firmness. So if you're going to serve them cold, then you want to, I cook them a little bit less.
Now, these are cut up, those were just the cherry tomatoes in half.
Yeah, these were chopped because I only had a pint of these, and I had some beautiful tomatoes like this, so I chopped those up. And it's about 2 cups, so, you know, whatever you use, and it's about 2 cups. And of course, they wilt down.
And how would you serve something like this?
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you when we come back.
Yes, because we will be coming back.
Yes, I did. I have
4 different ways, right?
4 different ways to show you how to serve this.
So you make this is the basis for all sorts of different dishes?
All different dishes, yes.
I think you got something brilliant going on.
I could just eat it like that. Is that one of the ways, just to eat it on a spoon?
Well, almost.
Now there's 5 ways.
You got to stay tuned.
There's 5 ways, because that's one of the ways. So, later in the show, 4 ways to use it.
4 different ways. That's right.
Is it time?
Welcome back to Mass Appeal. We're back with Ann Macey, author of Ann's Table for Two, also from annstable42.com.
Yes.
And we talked about roasting tomatoes earlier, but what do you do with all those roasted tomatoes?
Well, first of all, you notice I didn't put any salt and pepper on it when I put it in the oven.
You did not.
I believe that if you put the salt on the tomatoes before you put them in the oven, it will just ooze out more water, and you don't want to do that. So if you want to salt and pepper them after they come out of the oven, then that's good.
And if people missed it earlier, the concoction that we made that we're going to make so much from is tomatoes, basil, onions, and garlic. Is that right?
That is correct. And
that's
oil.
it.
And oil.
And oil.
Little oil.
And we just roasted it.
This was 2 cups of grape tomatoes, and this is what they wilt down to. And as you can see, they're different than if you chop them. Okay, so what you can do with them, all my little ways, you can just toss them in with your favorite pasta.
So it's like a pre-done pasta sauce. There's that way to do it.
That's just it. It's like a nice little fresh burst of tomato. The other thing is, in IGA, this is Geisler's, their store brand. They have some things in there that are actually, their store brand stuff is pretty good.
Yeah?
Someday I'm going to do something with their frozen rolls. They are to die for. They're like restaurant quality rolls. But if you just open up any of your favorite jar of sauce and add this to it, it gives it a nice, fresh flavor, like it's
and
a
then you
homemade.
could say you made your own sauce.
Homemade, and nobody will know.
I've never said that before in my life, that something was homemade. Isn't that sad? Now I can.
You can use it as bruschetta. Now, I have a recipe for bruschetta in my cookbook. This one here, I added some fresh tomato to the roasted tomatoes. I added some scallions. I added a little bit of red bell pepper, and I added a little bit of Italian dressing and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Or you can just use it plain and use it on, little French bread toast. Or these are, Geisler's has these on sale this week. They're so good. They're artisan.
Oh, really? Tostito's artisan recipe, baked 3-cheese queso.
And they were
That is
perfect
cheese in
for
Spanish.
today.
Wow.
And can I try some?
Oh, please do. And then you could put it on top of hummus. And just, isn't that's pretty, isn't it? And just, just as an extra addition. Sometimes I like olives in my hummus, but this is really nice in the hummus. And you can, again, use it with my little mini rice crackers or those. Or you could even use some of these toast things. Now, let me tell you about this. This, I usually, because there's 2 of us, I can just cut these, slice this. This is 65 cents a roll, usually, okay? Perfect. And I usually buy one and, cut it and just toast it up in the oven. Or this week, and very often, they will have French bread. Geisler's likes to have it, and it's $1 for this. This goes a long way for a lot of, and I have several recipes that include French bread for appetizers.
I love French bread. Love it.
Now,
That's
speaking
great.
of things that are in the book, we'll get to that last dip in a minute.
Right.
But this book is what has everything, and where can people get this book?
They can get it on Amazon.com, Geisler's Supermarket, DeRocher Florist, and Renew.com, which is a salon in West Springfield where I get my little nails done.
Oh, that's so nice. Let's see those nails. Beautiful,
Yes.
and
wow.
very nice.
When you're a dental hygienist, it's hard to keep them nice.
Now, you also have a spread here.
This is a roasted tomato spread, and I came up with this yesterday. My husband and I went to see my granddaughter's horror show, and on the way back, we stopped in Sturbridge at a pub, and you sat down and they give you crackers and this dip. And it was it was a sun-dried tomato with cream cheese, but I think it had relish, and it was a little too sweet for me, but my brain starts going when something like that happens. So I came home and I mixed 2 ounces of cream cheese, a 1/4 cup of feta cheese, because I like something savory when I'm, having a little cocktail, and then a 1/4 cup of the roasted tomatoes, and 2 tablespoons of the scallions, and I just mixed it up, and you can spread it on these little crackers, or you can spread it on my little
toast. Let's give this one a whirl, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, it's
right
quite here. Well, you can spread it or whatever.
I want to try one of these because these have less of the flavor, right? You'll taste more of this instead of the cheese, right?
Whatever, dip it or whatever. Whatever you would like to do.
This is great stuff, Ann.
I like this one. This is how I get my recipes. I see something somebody else might have done and change it totally.
Yeah, well, and your book is Ann's Table for 2, which is perfect for couples out there because all your portioning is set for 2. But if you have 4 people in your family, if they have 8, just a little math. You got
Double, triple.
Yeah.
Or if you like to eat enough for 4 people, you just make it, you just multiply it by 2 and you eat it all.
You all know that I gained 35 pounds writing the cookbook because most often I would eat both recipes.
Oh, you know what? Could be
Gotta
worse.
live,
Could be
right?
worse. And always a pleasure having you here. If you want more simple and delicious recipes, they're right here. If you want to buy a copy of Ann's book, just log on to annstablefort2.com or go to wherever their books are sold.
That is so yummy, Ann.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much.